Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to Energy Speaks Back, powered by B2B Energy. My name is Paul Webb, and I'm the founder of B2B Energy, and I'm your host. And weekly, I present to you energy experts from around the world. Welcome to episode 117. This is a special episode of Energy Speaks Back, Revisited, where I invite an energy expert back into the studio. Our purpose, as always, is to provide a good understanding of energy management knowledge from around the world, which is available today for us to deliver savings that impact on our planet. On our journey of knowledge sharing, we would like to thank our sponsors and certificate partners, Ester Energy. Today's special guest has completed his transition from the armed forces to the civilian world and is now on his journey of being an energy manager. So without any further ado, I give you Lee Pickersgill.
Good afternoon, Lee. How are you today?
I'm really well, Paul, as always. Weather's good. In one of the hotels that I'm doing the energy management for. You're my guest. Thank you for coming.
I'm the guest today. It's strange, isn't it, to be the guest? So this is the first time we've done a live in-person podcast. So I'm quite chuffed at it. We've got new technology, so we don't know whether it's going to work or anything. Yeah. So anything could happen in the next 20 or 30 minutes.
Well, fingers crossed we'll get through it.
Yeah. So Lee, this is the Revisited. So welcome to Energy Speaks Back Revisited. And this is where I invite episodes back and into the room to see, what's happened in the last 6 months. And I know what's happened in the last 6 months, and it's been a massive transition. I like that word because that's what. Mm-hmm. So our last conversation was all about transition, wasn't it? And you was transitioning, and you was actually sitting in the barracks with your army fatigues on, and it was in the middle of summer, and it was absolutely boiling hot. So I can remember that day very clearly, obviously because we keep watching the videos. So can you tell us what has been happening in the last 6 months of your career, even?
Right then, starting off with a great question as always. So, last time we spoke, I was in the middle of your training. I completed it successfully. Moved on to the EnCO training with the likes of Mervyn Pilley and Jez Rutter, which is also very interesting. Another little qualification to have in the energy world. I moved on to your second part of the training, which was the actual technologies of energy. Mm-hmm. And near the end of that training, a really good opportunity fell in my lap through yourself with a hospitality management company called Valor Hospitality Europe, where a job came up where as we all know, the energy prices are going through the roof, and this company was really, really intelligent for the fact that they wanted to employ someone just purely to look at their energy management. So they had links with yourself, mm-hmm. and you thought you had someone in mind, who was myself. I went through a rigorous interview process with them, talking about myself, my journey, what my plans are, what I can bring to their table and help them to reduce their energy, reduce their costs.
I thought he was going to say my favourite words, third largest expense. You wanted to, but you're just nervous, trying to get all those words out.
That's it, yeah. So long story short, I managed to secure a job with Valor Hospitality Europe, and I'm now their energy manager, controlling 34 hotels in the portfolio, where I go up and down the country from Glasgow and Edinburgh all the way down to Plymouth, mm-hmm. and the South Coast, going into each hotel, doing an energy assessment, basically doing the 11-week energy program from the start to end.
Yeah.
Going through the planning of the assessment, getting the like and trust with the general managers and the maintenance managers, all the staff within the hotel, see how they run, mm-hmm. and go in there and give observations because I'm not a consultant. I'm actually working for the company.
Yeah.
I'm going in there giving observations of what I see from what I've been trained by yourself on how they can reduce their energy consumption, their costs, and carbon footprint. And that's everything going through into the building, looking at the lights, the heating, the cooling, the water, the power, the energy management, all the BMSs. So now
it's becoming textbooks, isn't it? The wording you're using, but it's actual, isn't it? Now we've made the textbook reality, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's where it comes from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And when I go through the assessments, I started off with going through what I saw, what, and I was still learning. The beauty of this is I'm always learning. Yeah. Every day is a learning day.
Yeah.
At the start, I was producing reports of 14 to 15-ish pages, and now I'm producing like 50-page reports because
it's more intense.
It's really more intense. I'm going into all the nooks and crannies. I'm learning more. I'm finding out other little bits and pieces from the other hotels that I bring to the on the journey sort of thing. While I'm doing this, I'm sending out all the good practices or all the observations to all the other hotels in the portfolio. So they're already ahead of the curve, already saving the energy, which I've already found. And then when I go to their hotels, they've already got that bit in place, and I'm sort of just really finding, like I call it little tweaks, really squeezing the energy out of some of the hotels.
And back up the line. So I like to go back on things. So let's go back to that meeting that we had. So there we are in the podcast. You've got your army. Am I saying the right word? Army fatigues on.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there and we're talking about this transition. We didn't even know where this was going to go. What was going through your mind then when you're sitting there and we were counting down in days, weren't we? I think we started, if I remember rightly, something 100 and something. Because I said to you, what you need to do is start counting them down, and we need to start having the forecast. Because it come from me, it was like a mindset thing. I was actually not just teaching you energy, I was helping you and preparing you for the transition. And it was a whole journey, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what was going through your mind then at that stage of your journey?
I think when on the last podcast I'd started the training, so I was already sold by the energy concept and what I could get out of it. The big thing for me was the fact that I was leaving the military and I still wanted to give back. I still wanted to make a difference and find that career where I could do that. Before I found energy, I was really anxious. We've talked about it many times. Almost scared about what to expect when I left the military. And it was really, I was depressed. It was really hard.
It was the word we used then was the uncertainty, wasn't it, of what was going to happen. How long had you been in the army?
27 years.
27 years, a significant amount, lifetime, really. And you'd seen so many things in that 27 years, and to come out of that, it must be. We joke about things now, don't we? About your uniforms and things, and like. You had to go out shopping recently to buy a load of shirts, didn't you?
I like that. I like that part of it. I mean, when I was going through it, I thought, fancy a job where I could wear a suit.
Exactly. You always said you wanted to go out and wear a nice suit. And you said that on the interview. Yeah. You wanted to go and get a good job with a nice suit that I could wear to go to work. And you got that now, haven't you? You put it out there, obviously. Mm-hmm.
It's totally different. From now, I think back and we joke, like you say, about what I looked like in the last podcast.
Yeah.
It seems like years and years ago. I feel like, I've only been in this job since January, the start of the year.
Yeah.
We're in May now. And it feels like I've been doing this forever.
Yeah.
I've really got into it. Everyone in the company is fantastic. I've just been really lucky and landed a fantastic job where, again, we talk about that job satisfaction where when you wake up in the morning, if you wake up and want to go to work, it's not really work.
No, it's not.
It's a way of life, and if you're happy doing that, then there's not many people that are fortunate enough to say they could do that.
Yeah.
But I'm in that position right now, thoroughly enjoying it, and I know I'm making a difference because I can see the monetary. I can see the energy consumption value, but I can certainly see the monetary value of what I'm putting in place.
Your contribution.
Yeah, my contribution.
Yeah. And we have seen that. And the journey hasn't stopped because from the B2B energy training, because this happens to be one of my clients. So we're working together with the client to ensure that, one, you landed in the right way. We put together a program of your learning. We've put together a structure whereby I still come and do energy assessments with you. So keeping you working in that direction, keeping you focused. During the training we spoke, but we talk more now. We speak every other day, maybe. And there's often things where, I review your reports and help you with those. But I remember when I first started reviewing, I'll be saying, no, need to do this, need to do. Now all I'm doing now is saying, yep, that's right, yep, good report, in the right direction, maybe. And it's only new things that are coming up, even for myself. We just walked around the building today and we found a new area to focus on regarding summer boilers. Yeah. And it's really funny. It's common sense when you look at it, but it's actually knowledge that's brought that to us regarding my knowledge of what I've seen and my experience. So let's think. So you made that transition. How has it all impacted on your family? On let's do the before and after. During that transition, what was going through your family? Because there must have been concerns there as well.
Yeah. I think the main concern was, so I've got a young family, a fiance, 2 young children, both at school, and we were collectively anxious about what job I was going to get when I left the military, kind of where I was when I left the army, so at least we can live to the way we were. As it happens, I've managed to secure this job, achievement for myself, but my fiance and my family are living that with me. We haven't become more extravagant. We're not.
It's not changed your life.
It's not changed us at all. So what we have to put on with that. So it's happened really fast. Yeah. Everyone's happy.
So your whole life has been. Do you feel you're in a fast lane at the moment, or because you're taking this? I've seen you working in this role, and you're very comfortable in this role. I don't see. You're never out, because I always like to push people out of their comfort zone. You was day one. You're not now, are you? Very quickly, you managed to slot into the culture of this organisation and the culture of energy management as well, haven't you?
Mm-hmm. I think that is the military side of my training. We talked about it before I left, where as you go through the ranks in the military, depending on what corps and cap badge you're with, you get put into jobs where you've never done it before.
Yeah.
You gain promotion, which is fantastic, and then you get put into a whole new role. You've never done it before, but you're expected to just get on and do it. And with that kind of mentality, and having done that many times through my military career, the coming into a new sort of world, in fact, didn't really faze me as much. I was apprehensive, I was anxious, but like I said, once I got in and the people were really welcoming, they're very professional, really professional company, really wanted to help me out. Everyone was bending over backwards to make me feel part of the family, and I just got on with the job.
Yeah.
And I was instructed well. I turned into a sponge, like we always say, and I took on as much as I could because I knew this was going to be my next career for life. Over a few weeks or so, I got myself bedded in, put feet under the table, came up with my own ideas, started the report, started the assessments, and I feel it's been welcome and well received.
What do you think has been the main learning element? What was the biggest thing within the training that you feel, if it was the league table, it was the top thing out of the resources of the training that's giving you the leg up into this?
Are you talking about
if you look at all the media around how we've put the training together, so there was the weekly calls, there's the course notes, there's the book, the podcast, the videos, there's all the content around it. How would you league table that regarding it?
That's another one of your good questions, Paul. League table that. So, firstly, all of it put together is makes the complete package for me. To league table it, I think the one-on-one, the way you delivered your course to me when it was one-on-one, was really effective, because then it was all focused on me.
Yeah.
And I was all focused on you. There was no
question, Q&A.
Exactly. There was no, and I was quite a lot of Q&A because I wanted to know. Whereas if there was other students or other candidates around,
It would be different, yeah.
it would be slightly different. Hopefully they would, but again, they would have come up with questions that I wouldn't have thought of, which could have benefited me. But the one-on-one aspect for me, the personal side of it was really
Key.
key.
Yeah.
The documentation, the books that I read, and then obviously the podcast. The beauty of me.
That's the smile on my face, because I think the
Yeah.
podcast for me, with you especially.
Yeah, because I was I could say fortunate or unfortunate enough on the last podcast to have that hour commute every day to and from work. I had an opportunity to just sit there in my car and just turn you on, basically.
Yeah.
And then listen to all of those other energy experts with their enthusiasm, their drive, their pushing in the same direction, their ideas, and they're all totally different people. It was invaluable because you could hear the passion in everyone's voice every time they talked about something, and it could just be like just a little bit of technology, a new little bit of technology, and then someone will be like talking about planting all the trees in Africa, and then another one will be on just what they're doing with solar, and another one will be on the other side of the world saying they're building a small village, a sustainable village. Yeah. It was fantastic and really
inspirational, isn't it? It covers all the spectrum of energy management, and even I'll be honest with the audience, is that I did this by accident. I did it originally because I wanted to share that knowledge. I didn't realise that this would become such a powerful media within the training until you got a hold of it. And then I found, every week you would come in on the call and say, "Oh, I listened to episode number 10. Can't believe that is," and what he was saying. And one of the biggest things you always say, and you're still saying it now, is the female interviews are the one with more full of passion than the men. And it's, you do get that quite a lot, I find, when I'm interviewing people. You can feel it. There is a difference. But I think, going back to, my original point, the podcast is key to the development. And I find that the people that don't listen to the podcast, they don't get as much passion and inspiration of doing the training as in what they would do if they didn't listen to that podcast. So it's powerful, and I think it's key that is made part of the curriculum, really.
Yeah, totally agree. I think if I didn't listen to it, wouldn't be just another course for me, because it was like a push in direction of a new career. But I think being able to, the course, we always laugh. Every time we were supposed to do the course, it was supposed to be an hour session, and that was it.
Yeah, don't tell everyone that, though. Just having to have a quiet afternoon, so yeah.
And I'd sometimes keep you on the call, and you'd be like looking at you, watching you hang about.
What's happening here?
We've been on for ages, because I just keep on asking questions, or like you say, giving feedback on the podcasts. And I found that quite good at it, quite interesting to sort of give you that feedback. And he was welcoming my viewpoint, even though wasn't an energy expert at the time. Then, as a listener, he was really, really appreciative of my feedback.
Yeah, 100%. So let's talk about the things that you're finding on your journey on, like, so this particular hotel, for instance, you've done. So break the days down, because I could do this for you basically. Explain to our audience how you're carrying out your assessments, for instance.
Okay, so I pick 2 hotels a week in the portfolio, depending on where it is in the country. It doesn't really matter. I just make sure I'm there on the morning of the first hotel. I introduce myself to the general manager, the maintenance manager, and the operations manager, and I asked for about half an hour to just give them a little insight into who I am, why I'm here, why Valo have employed an energy manager, and what I'm going to bring to the table with regards to their hotel. The fact that I'm here to support them, give them advice and guidance on how they can reduce their energy consumption. Yeah. And then I'll explain how I do that. Basically, I would then go around the hotel with a member of the maintenance team, the maintenance manager preferably, into all of the nooks and crannies. And that's the important thing for me, is go everywhere where there's a door anywhere there's a closed door, make sure I get in there and see what's behind it. From all the plant rooms, work on a perimeter first to see, especially during the day, if there's any lights on that shouldn't be on during the day, if there's any energy consumption outside, then all the way to the rooftop, see what's on the roof, if there's anything on the roof, from air conditioning units to air handling units or any other technology up there. And then we go down the floors, looking at the lights, the heating, the power, the cooling, the water. We always have a chuckle if there's a dripping tap or even one that's been left on. There's been a few, and it's not good, but for me it is good because I'm finding these things and I'm like, yeah, I can make a difference here. I've got to pick this up. This is how we need to sort of put this into place and make this a better place. And then, like I say, we're going to the plant rooms. I'll check out a few bedrooms that obviously aren't occupied to see how they do their procedures. Looking at all the housekeeping, back of house, canteens. So the important thing for me, or one of the important things in hotels especially, is the front of house. What the customer sees is supposed to be looking good.
Yeah,
the lights are all going to be on. The decor's going to be fantastic. There's going to be a bit of ambient music, maybe. The heating's got to be a certain temperature so the customer comes in feeling great, especially in the winter months. And then what people don't know, or is the back of the house behind those doors, is what energy is being used behind there. So all of the staff, the corridors, there's so many different kinds of stores, their canteen, the kitchens. Throughout the hotels that are in the portfolio, there's a plethora of massively different sized kitchens, really small ones to enormous ones. And catering staff are always precious about their energy, getting good food out in good time to good quality. I get that, but in some hotels and some kitchens, and I'm not just talking about hotels, I'm talking all sort of big industrial kitchens, you find that they are very precious about the energy they're using. They want stuff on so they can cook quickly. So that's one part. And then you can go into the leisure facilities when you've got hotels that have got pools and gymnasiums, saunas, steam rooms and the like. There's important little niches that I've learned over the months where if you have the air temperature too high or too low, then the water temperature, the water can overnight can turn into a massive radiator. Yeah. And obviously it's purging energy, trying to fight against the air. So there's loads of little niches around the hotel, and then I bring all that together into one report. Then at night,
this is the cream, I think, on top, because we've done some night audits, haven't we?
Yeah, and the night audits are where you find.
And what time do you do those from?
Depending on the hotel, because of brand standards, how long they leave their bars and restaurants open.
What time do you start your walk around?
The earliest I'd start would be 1 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
I've moved that to the right sometimes depending on the hotel, but it's usually I try to get down after the night shift have done their first fire walk.
Right.
After all of the usual close down procedures have happened, so that I can then see if they've actually done those close down procedures and what they've left on or what they've forgotten about. Sometimes it's just a case of they've forgotten to turn something off.
Yeah, or they didn't know. Or they don't know how to turn that particular thing off.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm going around in all those nooks and crannies.
So give me 3 things that you found at night. What's the typical thing you find?
Lights.
Yeah.
Lights are always a typical one, and it's usually, and it's in places where the footfall is constant, but not enough to sort of think about the lights. So where, for instance, housekeeping are in and out of their stores all the time with sheets and bedding and things like that. Again, their whole job is about time management, getting stuff, all beds and rooms cleaned down as quickly as possible. And then they just sometimes forget to turn the lights off. Yeah. It is what it is. That's fine. Yeah. And then in the kitchens, for instance, they've sometimes left the lights on, maybe for the night shift, so they can go and do their firewalks, or maybe that's the procedure that they've put in place, or certainly back of house corridor. And then even in the front of house, so where the bar area is or the restaurant is, there's no one there. Everyone's in bed, but you've still got lights on.
The bar looks open, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I get that it's a hotel, and if someone walked through the door, it needs to look appealing. But at that time of night, we could probably turn them down and turn them off. In fact,
have a bit of a relaxed mode, couldn't we?
Yeah.
And let's talk about the story when we're walking around the health. We won't mention the brand or the hotel, but there we was walking around the health club. Pitch black, actually. We didn't have the lights on, did we? We couldn't see much. But I think we was walking around with our torches, weren't we? I shined the torch into the male changing rooms where we were standing in.
We heard something there.
And we heard something. What's that noise? It's kind of running water. And we see, and we both jumped up and down. We were so excited. It was as if England had just scored a goal against Germany, wasn't it? We were so excited. And we see someone had left a tap running.
Not just the tap.
Hot tap. Hot water tap. The famous treble whammy. We know we're paying for the water to use, we're paying to get rid of that water, and we're paying to heat it. And there it was, full bore running. And we've just seen the health club manager walk off out, presumably, as he said to us during the day, that he's done his night, his shutdown procedure. Obviously not that night.
Yeah.
And is there anything else you've seen like that? Any other examples?
So the running taps is always a good one. Swimming pools is always a good one. At another brand, in fact, it was the same hotel actually, where the air.
So yeah, the heating,
the air heating
and ventilation,
ventilation had gone off overnight. So by saying that out loud, you think, well, it's a good thing. You're turning something off, so you're not using energy. But actually, as I alluded to earlier on, if that air temperature drops down to a certain amount, then the pool water turns into a radiator and tries to heat that up. By doing that, it was causing a lot of condensation on the
that's what we found at night, and I didn't notice it in the morning because by the morning everything had come on and started clearing it all, so they wouldn't have noticed it. It's only at night that we picked it up.
But you could see the damage on the windows. It was starting to damage the windows, the condensation. So that would have been happening over a long period of time. And then in the morning, the first customers that went into the pool would then complain. Well, why are they complaining? The pool temperature is set at a certain point, should be a certain temperature. It wasn't, because it had dropped those couple of degrees because it's trying to heat the air. So,
and then it would have been fighting to get back up to the temperature, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. It's funny. I've got more on that hotel. It just reminded me. So we're in the kitchen and there we are. We're talking to the chef. So have you got a shutdown procedure? Yeah, we've got a shutdown procedure. Oh, brilliant. Do you shut your kitchen extract off? Yeah. So how'd you do that? Oh, there's a switch here. And she told us where the switch was. Brilliant. So we had gone in that night for 1 o'clock in the morning. We had a couple of, I think we did 3 on a trot that month. So it was quite a hard one doing it. I don't recommend energy managers doing that on a regular basis, but so there we are, 1 o'clock in the morning, we're in this kitchen, and I said to Lee, kitchen extract's still on. He went, no, it can't be. She turns it off. So he finds the switch. The switch was off. So she turns the switch off, but it was being controlled up by the BMS.
That's right.
So even when people think they're turning things off, it doesn't mean they're turning things off unless you actually physically see that at night and do that review. Yeah. So that really adds the value to doing that review.
And then when we put that in the report and they've rectified that issue, put a new switch in so they can turn it off at night. And whilst that was happening, they could go up into the plant room and turn it off manually anyway. Yeah. So at least they had that issue. You could see on the data's everything. If you haven't got the data, you can't measure it. And you can see, on the data, you could see what we implemented over that night, turning everything off.
Yeah, you see the energy come down, couldn't you?
You could see the energy come down by a few kilowatt hours per hour on that data. So if you times that by 365 days a year, you've got a massive amount of reduction in energy, and then a massive reduction in costs. Yeah, but fair play to that hotel. As soon as we picked all these,
they addressed everything.
They addressed everything, and now I think within just over 2 weeks,
we got an email from her 2 weeks afterwards.
That's right,
and an email from, because that particular hotel was one of the bottom 3 hotels that we visited. And the figures, I think, are in the region of 50%. We've made savings here.
Within 2 weeks of them implementing changes.
Yeah. Because a lot of them changes were people could do it. So though the BMS needed reprogramming, they could have physically just turned it up from upstairs. And that's what they started to do, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, it was just education. Certain things they just didn't know. And because they didn't know, they couldn't do anything about it.
No, and the chef was doing all the right things.
Yeah.
Turning it off at night. And thinking everything was going off at night. If that was at home, they would be turning it off and they'd realise it wasn't going off. So this is why, when you've got buildings, a lot of things get hidden, becomes camouflage, basically, good word, in your world or your past world.
Very apt.
Yeah. So come on, what we're doing in the future, what's our plans? How are we taking this now?
So once I've completed all the hotels, we've put together a big database spreadsheet, league table in each hotel throughout all of their facilities, all of the no cost observations I picked up, the medium cost, and then the capital cost, put that into a league table, the attitude of the staff, of the people in place, and then go back to them and review. So with the training, you go through the whole process, the analytics of the data, do the report, produce the report, go through your implementation, and then go through it all again. So all that circle, keep on readdressing the situation. So once I've done all the hotels, I'll go and visit them all again, making sure that I hit the first ones or the ones that still haven't quite got there yet, and just keep on reducing. And then we're looking forward into implementing other bigger projects. So there's lots of big LED projects in some of the hotels that we're putting in place. Looking at solar, we've had some solar surveys on around about half the hotels actually.
All right.
So it's looking at implementing that at some stage. So there's loads more to be done moving forward to the net zero goal that everyone's looking at the moment.
I always like to ask about your challenges. Have you got particular challenges currently in what you're doing?
I don't think I have actually. I've really been fortunate. The directors, my immediate boss, have sort of let me off the leash. Really, they kind of understand what I can bring to the table. It's a very grown up establishment. I know my outputs and what I need to produce, and they're seeing it. So they're happy for me to just almost dictate my own calendar. Really, they know that I'm achieving, and they're happy with the results. So they're sort of they're not restraining me in any way, shape, or form. I think maybe the people that I'm visiting, you may get a few individuals who are maybe a bit precious of their establishment,
the surroundings as such.
Maybe because
their role.
Exactly. Everyone's all about their league tables. No one likes to be at the bottom. So when I go in there, I make a point of, when we talk about the like and trust, I always like to finish my reports on a sort of little idea, 5 minutes, where I ask them, what else can we do? What else do you reckon you can do, sort of thing? And I'm trying to get out of them things like getting that real team ethos in the hotel. We want to be the best hotel. We've got league tables. Well, we need to beat the hotel director above us. We want to be able to say we are now using less energy than them because we've implemented all these changes and we're part of this team, bringing incentives into the workplace, rewarding people, championing the green energy people in the hotel. Anyone that comes up with an idea, I always talk. I'm not sure if I talked about it on the last podcast about psychological safety. I always say to the general managers, we need to make sure that you've got a full psychological safe environment in your hotel. Every member of staff needs to be able to have a voice, be able to allowed to talk about their ideas, bring it to the table on any meeting that say, I've got an idea, and you can say to them, I'll tell you what, that's a good idea, but we won't be able to do that because of X, Y, and Z. but pat on the back, really good thinking, keep up that sort of enthusiasm. Or they could come up with an idea and you'll be like, wow, actually that is a really good idea. We'll trial that.
Try and implement it.
We'll put that in place. We'll trial it for a bit. We'll try it for a couple of weeks, see if it works. And if it does work, guess what? We're going to push it out to the other hotels.
Yeah.
Get everyone involved. It's the whole team. The whole team should be involved in it.
It's funny, I asked you about your challenges. If I ask some energy managers in this environment, you're very lucky, because they would have said, my challenge is data. Can never get data, accuracy of data. You've landed into a role where you've got abundance of data, and I find that data, I'm using that data on a regular basis. We drive that data daily. Mm-hmm. Finance team, the facilities team as such, everyone's on it. Every morning we get the emails telling us how much energy was used yesterday, what's the impact on it. And even we have a weekly meeting, which is energy surrounding, but we're obviously focusing on the CHPs. But that weekly meeting, we even get the GMs come into it, which is, I used to go to do energy assessments on hotels, and the maintenance guy go, oh, that was the GM, he's just gone off. Yeah, I'll get him to come and say hello to you. Never ever see him again. And they used to be, just in, out. Now they're in your face. They want to know what's happening. They want to drive their energy there. Energy is so important to them, and it should be. But I'm finding now they all come. So sometimes I look up, blimey, we've got a lot of people on the call today, and I can see they're general managers.
Yeah,
and it's brilliant. Mm-hmm. It really is. So this isn't different to my podcast, Lee. Sorry to say, I've got that. That last question to ask you. Okay. Is there anything now you can give back to someone listening to this, someone who's just about to transition from A to B regarding the tri-services, mm-hmm. Army, Navy, RAF? They're going to be transitioning now. What is there you can tell them to support them in that challenge on their journey?
Okay, so podcasts. get onto the podcast, listen in, and learn and get infused about energy management. Don't be afraid. When I was leaving, I didn't have a clue what I was going to do, and there'll be many military out there which will be in exactly the same boat, and they all sort of move or steer themselves into the same sort of things like project management or health and safety. Things that they think are easy wins because they've kind of done it all their career sort of thing, and they can move into it quite easily. Energy management for me was even easier. One, because it's a fulfilling job. It's not a case of you having to manage lots of people or other things. You're just looking at the energy and trying to reduce it. It's quite a simple concept, really. But there's things out there now. When I was coming out, I didn't know. I was just really, really lucky to manage to find you on LinkedIn and get in contact and get a rapport with you and manage to get this training on the go. So when I found out about energy, I gripped it with both hands and I was like totally focused on my new career. And that's probably why you found it easy to instruct me, because I was just totally focused.
Do you remember me saying something?
I remember.
You've been trained. Go on, say it.
We've been trained to be trained.
Yeah.
I get it. And we are. I feel we do so much training in the military, but when you're focused on, it's your next career.
Yeah.
It's your next life. You got another 40 plus years of this new job. You need to make sure it's the job that you want. The job, like I said, that you're going to wake up in the morning and want to go to. There's no point just getting any willy-nilly job, I feel. But like I said, when I was going through the process, there wasn't anything out there. So in the military, we all get enhanced learning credits, which is a budget to retrain ourselves for new careers. And we can use that in a place called LCAS. There's a website where there's loads of different companies on loads of different job specs where we can go and find and retrain. I talked to you about it, and recently you've managed to apply and get accepted. And now you've got a course on LCAS that I've just done, which is fantastic. And I'm going to plug you again.
Oh,
but
I'll accept it.
But honestly, if there's any military leaving now, they want to get into energy management, use me as a template, use me as a success story.
As a benchmark, I think. You're the benchmark.
You can go in, you'll do this training, you'll become a consultant, you'll become an expert, and you'll be able to confidently look for a salary which you are worth. Yeah. That's the problem. That's the big point. I think when people leave the military, we don't really know our worth.
You don't know what your worth is. No, we don't. Exactly.
And when I came out, I was blown away with what people think, civilians and the companies think about the military, what we bring to the table, our core values, our ethos, our standards. So yeah, there's things out there now, especially training. You're on LCAS. It's available.
Yeah.
Lots of information out there. So yeah, energy management can be for any ex-military.
Yeah. Well, Lee, we are very, very proud of the Lee Pickersgill journey. We've seen you grow, literally. I remember that first phone call where you wasn't too sure, the full of uncertainty. I see the uncertainty drift all the way through the training. And I've seen you now working in a role which you found your worth, and I think that's very valuable to you and your family, and I've seen you grow. Mm-hmm. So, well done. It's a 50-50 thing. It's not just us. It's 75-25. You had to do a lot of the things. You had to listen to those podcasts. I'm sorry to say, everyone. But that is a good starting point. So, Lee, we are very proud of you. Keep continuing with what you're doing. We're going to follow that story. And please, you and your family, stay safe in these times.
Thank you, Paul. You too.
Brilliant.
Take care.